And it's my pleasure to have this panel with us here this morning in commemoration of Jewish Disability Awareness, Acceptance, and Inclusion Month. And thanks to Mara Kaplan and Lynn Rubinson, our moderator and Watts president, for putting the panel together. So at this time, it's my pleasure to turn the floor over to Lynn.
Thank you, Todd. Good morning. Welcome, everybody. We take great pride in this congregation of being as 99.9% accessible, because the only room is our library. But more importantly than that, we have gone beyond what we consider being physically accessible to also being mentally accessible. And Mara is also teaching us the difference between the ableist language that we should not be using. So every year it's something learning. And just so you know, our Disability and Inclusion Task Force has been was founded and started by Mara, and will become a full-fledged committee. And I just want to take this minute to truly thank her for all the work and dedication she's done. Okay, so welcome. So as you know, we're talking today about the arts know no boundaries. And we are very fortunate to have both visual artists and performing artists with us today. And I'm going to just do a brief introduction and then let everybody tell their own story. So immediately to my right, left, right, is Kara Snyder. And Kara is legally blind and is a visual artist. And she actually has had a couple of her pieces here hanging at the synagogue. And as she speaks, you'll be able to see examples of her art. Next to Kara is Flavio Seamus, who also is in the performing arts. He's a composer, he's a conductor, he's a teacher who studied under Leonard Bernstein. And what's so important for today is that he has helped individuals with mental disabilities, and particularly schizophrenia, really be able to gain fulfillment through music. And you'll hear from him, and you'll hear from Ann Alter on Zoom today. Then we have Lindsay Kane, who is the Pittsburgh Ballet Theater's Associate Director of Education Accessibility, and she will talk about how the ballet company accommodates people with disabilities so they can access the organization's programming. And finally, we have Eli Kurzlaski, who is a neurodivergent artist, who is a very talented photographer, and hopefully many of you have bid on his work from last year's auction, and we'll do it again this year. So I am now going to, you don't need to hear from me anymore, and I'm going to ask Kara to start.
Well, thank you, Lynn. Am I projecting into the audience here? It sounds like it. Okay, hi again. My name is Kara Snyder, and I've been a long-time member here at Temple Sinai. Got married in this room many, many moons ago. And I want to thank Lynn and Mara for reaching out to me. I'm just like honored to be able to help out in any way in this realm of anything to do with accessibility and inclusion. It's so important that I can't even believe we have to still even talk about it. But so my background in the arts was I was an arts administrator for a long time, and I was an art history major in college, and then I was working in an administrative role when I suddenly lost vision in one eye due to a detached retina. And then fast forward a few years later, that was in 2004. And then in 2006, my other eye started to go, and the retina detached 3 times, got reattached 3 times. And what I'm left with now is total blindness in the left eye and legal blindness in my right eye. But I do have corneal obstructions from calcium deposits on my eye, so I really just see light and shadow. and occasionally they can remove that. And I might get a little window of about 3 months of being able to see more, but then it grows back again. So that's my little history. So I sometimes identify as completely blind, meaning no light perception when I'm at my worst, and when I'm at my best, I can see a little bit more. So what I do as an artist, okay, first of all, I've always loved drawing and painting my whole life. Huge art appreciator. As my vision started to fade, I dropped my administrative job and dedicated myself fully to being a full-time artist, where I just wanted to start creating and sharing that and just see what happened. I'm happy to say I've been enjoying it. My life is filled with art every single day, and what I do is, so my vision loss propelled me into searching out art even more voraciously, because I was like, it pulled out of me that I wanted to be an artist. And what was holding me back? So because of my vision loss, I was projected to face some of my fears and limitations that I put upon myself. And so if you want to call it a disability or whatever, that has motivated me to seek out true meaning in a new way. So when I lost my majority of my vision and I couldn't draw and paint anymore, I used to do figurative sculpture, and I couldn't see the model anymore. So it pushed me to ask, what is art, first of all, and what is that meaning we gain from having expression? And I dipped into depression for a while, but what happened is a friend of mine said, Kara, well, if you're a painter, you have to go paint. And then I really threw myself in. I detached from the outcome, and I went from an inner resource and started painting. I'm not saying they all came out great looking to a viewer, but I felt freedom from that. Fast forward to reflect what Lynn said, there is a practical side of how we deal with a limitation or a new way we have to adapt. And then there's a spiritual side. It goes both ways. The adaptability, for me, the biggest thing I want to share about my experience with vision loss is it has a practical side, and then it has a deeply personal meaning and spiritual side. So I could go on, and this isn't the time or the place, but there are very practical ways of painting with little or no vision. And I have practiced with that. I paint in a pitch dark studio with black drapes as my background. I use an industrial headlamp and bump dots and braille. And then I go to town, and I use digital media too. So, but the bigger, more important part, and then I'll wrap up because I have no idea. I have no concept of time. I will tell you that. The true meaning of art to me is it's a relationship. It's a way of being in the world. Because people ask me, how can you still paint? And I'm like, well, I still talk to my mother even though I can't see her face anymore. It's an ongoing dialogue. It's not gonna, I have to adapt. But just because I can't see things the same way, I do have my other senses. I can feel the canvas. I use tactile stuff in my painting. I use wax and string and wood. And then there's also the part I already touched upon, which is working from an inner resource and then letting it unfold. And then the art stands on its own, the materials speak for themselves, and the painting then can go out into the world and create a whole new reality for somebody else if it wants to. So that's kind of my little shtick.
Thank you, Cara. Thank you. Eli, Yeah. Is this on? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Eli Krasloski. I also wanted to thank everyone involved with putting on this event. So I am both a photographer and a writer. I feel like I've been writing for my entire life. When I was younger, I was sure that my path forward in writing was going to be with poetry. Over time, I loved poetry as much as I used to, but it was clear to me that some people would often say they don't understand poetry, which is a valid thing, but it made me step back from that. So behind me, you'll see some of the photos I've taken. Photography has been something that I've been passionate in for a long time as well. I still remember the very first camera I got, which was a vibrant purple and yellow camera. And honestly, I think that over time, my thoughts and feelings towards photography have changed. I'd say I started taking it really seriously in about 2014 is when I got really into it. Shortly before that, I had taken a photo that I really loved, and that photo is interesting because I still go back and look at it, and I still love it. However, it has never seen the light of day. It's been seen by maybe one or two other people. But since then, photography, it started out as something I enjoyed doing and very quickly became something I needed to do, something that I needed to do for myself and to be able to process and interact with the world around me. I haven't said this yet, I just realized, but I am autistic. So being in a world that is filled with mostly non-autistic people is very stressful and very overwhelming for me. So engaging with art is one way that I can kind of quiet that a little bit and make sense of things and just kind of be with all of the noise, and it also helps drown out the noise. Often my process for photography is I put on my shoes, put some music on, and I just go for a walk. I usually don't have a specific place or destination in mind. I just go where my feet take me and where my camera takes me. And it's been, sometimes it feels like a long journey, sometimes a short journey. But yeah, it's been very helpful, and I feel like at this point it's become a really meditative practice for me. That's about all I can think of to say at the moment. So if you have any questions, save them till the end.
Right. Thanks, Eli. Okay, Lindsay, please.
Hi, everyone. Yes, thank you for having me here today. I'm with Pittsburgh Ballet Theater. I am the Associate Director of Education and Accessibility. At PBT, we've been saying a lot this season to come dance with us, and I think we try and make a lot of our programs accessible. We can always try and be more inclusive and do more, but we do really care about accessibility, about all the values of IDEA, and all of the work that we do. In the theater, you know, you can go to the Benedum and see these beautiful performances, and at every one show in every performance, we try and make it audio described. Whether no one uses it for that performance or 5 people use it, I think we still call that a success because we are offering the service. We have Braille programs, large print programs. We really do try and work with the theater to kind of accommodate anyone's request. We've even had people ask for ASL interpretation, and that we're a dance company, but we still will make that figure it out. You know, is it that can we have an interpreter there that is doing the curtain speech and maybe it's just there around in the lobby during intermission to help someone out? We really are open if we haven't thought of it yet, but someone reaches out to us, we try and figure out how to make that work. I'm really personally excited this year because it's a program that I work really closely with is our sensory-friendly performances. So we usually do about one show a year as a sensory-friendly performance where we make some adaptations for anyone on the autism spectrum that might need a little extra support. I even sometimes say if you have a family with small children that you're not sure if they'll make it through because we have the house lights up a little bit during the performance so that you can come and go as you please. We hand out fidgets. We really encourage everyone of all age can enjoy a fidget at times. We have a quiet room. It's a really open, relaxed environment. And the reason why I'm excited this year is because we're doing 2 of them. We did one for the Nutcracker, and we have one coming up at the end of this month for Beauty and the Beast. So that's actually 2 weeks from today, I believe. If anyone wants to come by, February 25th. But I just think that that's such a fun program. I've heard our artists, our administrators, they say that's probably one of their favorite shows during the whole season, just because you can really feel the joy in the audience. And from the performers, people clap at times that you might not expect them to clap. So I think the performers, we usually talk to them before to make sure that no one's thrown off by that. But they're like, we felt the audience's enjoyment as opposed to like buttoned up traditional Benedum seating. So that's just some of our theater programs that we do. We also really encourage people to come to our space. We're in the Strip District. We have all sorts of classes. We have adaptive dance classes, again, for people on the autistic spectrum or people that might need other accommodations. In our classes, we offer Dance for Parkinson's classes. We've been doing those for years, and we moved them to Zoom during COVID, and we have actually made the decision to keep them on Zoom. We might go back in person, but we will always, I think, have them on Zoom now because we have some participants that are in West Virginia now that may have less mobility than they did pre-COVID. So we've asked, and they say, I couldn't come if you went back to only in person. We love the community building, and I think we can still keep that up over Zoom. So I know we're in this time of, we want to be in person, we're tired of Zoom, but I do think that there's merit to both, and we're not just totally throwing that away. I think community is really such a part of Pittsburgh Ballet Theater, and we want to build our community, we want to expand our community, we want people to feel welcomed with us. I know ballet, dance can feel like a little, I don't understand that art form, maybe it's not for me. Maybe I can't ever take class there. I'm not a dancer, but I really do think that we are trying to offer something for everyone. And again, kind of like with that ASL interpretation question, if we're not offering something that could help you, we want to know and we want to hear about it. And so I really thank you for letting me come here and talk with you all today because I really care strongly about the ballet. I've been at Temple Sinai before a few times, so I always feel so welcomed here by you all. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Lindsay. So I did not introduce our next speaker. Am I on, Drew? Okay. I did not introduce our next speaker, who is Ann Alter. And speaking of Zoom, we like having Zoom because Ann is able to join us today despite the fact that she is home recovering from COVID. And I'm just going to take 2 seconds to explain. Ann has been a member at Sinai, and not just a member of Sinai, but also of our disability task force. And she, if anyone has ever been fortunate enough to sit next to her or near her during services, you know what a beautiful voice that she has. And just on a personal note, I don't know if it was 7 years ago, it was one of the first schizophrenia conferences, and Ann was performing, she was singing, and Mimi Botkin and Laura Fell and I went to hear her, and we were moved to tears.
And Anne will tell you her own story, but we will have Anne on Zoom. Anne, we miss you, but welcome.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay, this will be an experiment in how long my voice holds out. But here goes. I, f- I first met Flavio Chemise in 2018 at an open house at Western Psychiatric Hospital. Flavio, a conductor, composer, and teacher, was looking to find some musicians with mental health challenges to form a musical group. I asked Flavio if I could sing Mishaberach for him. I sang him the Hebrew healing song, not knowing that Flavio was Jewish and a member of my Temple Sinai. I also didn't know his impressive resume, that he had worked with Leonard Bernstein, that he had won a musical award from the Latin Grammys, that he spoke several languages. All this and more. All I knew was that Flavio seemed kind and receptive. Soon after that, Flavio invited me to join a small musical group with guitarist, writer, and lyricist David Baird, and a third member who performed with us only briefly. After the third member left us, we acquired bassist Barry Mills and singer Susan Padilla, and the rest is history. We named ourselves Infinity. We performed at the Schizophrenia concert live. We performed at the Schizophrenia conference live and virtually several times. We sang at Temple Sinai for Jewish Disability Awareness and Inclusion Month, and once for Temple Road of Shalom. We sang twice for renowned opera singer Marianne Cornetti's Making Minds Matter concerts, and will again this year. We were set to perform for Disability Pride, but got rained out. We performed for the incoming president for Western Psychiatric Hospital. We made 2 documentaries during COVID. We recorded several songs in a studio and were interviewed for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. I stand before you today to tell you what infinity means to me. Thank you for being here. Emerging from darkness. The most important lesson I have learned from infinity has been how to come out from inside myself and work closely with others. My experience with mental illness includes feeling locked inside my own head and isolated with my stormy inner self. It is hard to see past my own darkness, and harder still to work with others. People outside me can't see into my head, and I can't reach out to communicate with them. The requirements of rehearsal and performance help me to engage in the focused give and take of working with a musical group. As I become more ensconced in the group work, I begin to feel more real, to emerge from darkness, to be aware that the people next to me aren't going anywhere, and to trust in the process to take me to a better place. The better place is by the side of my compatriots. I trust them, and they never disappoint. The discipline of music heals the brain. I am convinced that engaging in the discipline that music performance requires helps to heal the brain. We practice our music over and over again. We repeat and struggle and tweak, and in this process we form not only our music but our very selves. The discipline we impose on ourselves to learn a piece brings actual peace to our minds. We are using parts of our brains that are linked to happy things, like music, and logical things, such as the math in music, and social things, like the joy of performing next to the people we care about. All of this, I am certain, is helping to resculpt our brains and bring us to a better place. Instead of the negativity of illness, we are building up the positive that has been lying dormant in our brains, waiting for a way to come out. Something to call myself. It helps me to have something professional to call myself. I am proud to be a working musician, a singer. I am a survivor of many things, but mental illness is only part of who I am. Calling myself a musician normalizes life for me. It gives me something I can answer when people ask me, "What do you do?" I sing with the group, Infinity, I answer. All of us have schizophrenia. So the person I am talking to knows that not only are we doing something exciting, worthwhile, and concrete, but also that we do this despite our illness. Put in that way, it has that much more meaning. Calling myself a musician with schizophrenia also helps to normalize terms used for mental illness. Being able to include this in conversations about what I do helps to bring the concept of mental illness into a new place where it is just another part of life. Some days it's good to be a schizophrenic. My life has brought me to this point in time where everything comes together, and I ended up as a musician with Infinity. When we performed for the Pittsburgh Schizophrenia Conference, I am keenly aware that all of the hundreds of doctors, researchers, speakers, social workers, peer specialists, administrators, and guests are there for us, supporting us, speaking for us, working for us, and celebrating us. Singing with Infinity at the conference is infinitely rewarding because we are showing the world the best we can be. Many days I feel lucky to be a part of this very special mission. I'm glad to be me. I'm glad to have the experiences that schizophrenia, as well as bipolar disorder, OCD, and anxiety disorder have brought me. Some days it's good to be a schizophrenic. This day with all of you at Temple Sinai is one of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Okay, so that is a wonderful transition to you, Flavio.
Thank you, and that was beautiful, really touching. I mean, everything we heard. I'm speaking on not everybody's behalf. It's so inspiring to see this. This is so important. Anyway, my name is Flavio Chamis. I used to be a member of Temple Sinai. I've been here many times. My twin boys had bar mitzvah right here on this bima. And actually, I learned a while ago that Chamis is the guy who takes care of the synagogue. You know that, So basically, probably my great something grandfather in Ukraine was the Chamis of the synagogue, the guy who, okay, it's you're next to the Torah and all that. So probably that's why I have my name still like this. Anyway, Anne said a lot about the group. It's called Infinity. The reason why it is called Infinity is because one of the pieces we sing, and we always sing wherever we go, is called This Infinity. And it is, I wrote the music. You're going to listen. There is a little documentary, an abridged version, where we sing that piece. I think this is going to end with that, if I'm correct. And the lyrics is a poem, which was written by David Baird, who's sitting right here. He's the guitarist of the group and is one singer. We used to have a singer which for a while has been out. So it's a kind of pilot project that we've been doing for years. I would like to, I wish to expand it. I think everybody, who would like to do at Western Psychiatric Hospital, it is connected to Western Psychiatric or Behavioral Health UPMC Hospital. And even if you don't play an instrument, you can sing. Anybody could take part of that. And I really hope that eventually we will be able to do this in a much larger scale and expand. But thinking about Infinity, to me personally, and in a way, when we think stigma and mental health is so strong that I just kind of proved to you with this phrase I just spoke. Often we say mental health when we want to say actually mental illness. I just say stigma and mental health. Why? No, actually mental illness. We are so used to this. Now that I've been so connected to this, I've been reading books and trying to inform myself about all that. And it's prevalent. We all have it, and at times we don't even notice. At the same time, if we see the number of artists, poets, ballet dancers, musicians, writers that had very serious mental illness, I'm not going to say mental health, illness, challenges is enormous. And the list, I could start speaking in the musical world, which I know, Schumann, Tchaikovsky, and talk about Van Gogh, who cuts his ear. And, it's there, it's around, and it's part of, this treasure of humankind. So Anne said a phrase that she wrote to me a long time ago. There are days that it's good to be a schizophrenic. I'm just quoting. And that phrase was like, whoa. When you understand what it is in there from the human point of view, from the human sense, it's extraordinary. And that's what we really are talking about here. I cannot say to me, yeah, I've done some other things in my life, but this is one of the most empowering projects that I've ever was connected to. I see the empowerment of the people. I mean, to see Anne speaking, or David here, or Barry is the bass player, you're gonna see him on the video, and there's also Susan Padilla, who is the other singer. Each one of them, flourished. I see them becoming people, and said, I'm a pro. What do you do? I'm a singer with infinity. Gave a purpose, gave life, gave, empowerment. It is, I don't need to say anything more. I think that it describes what we're talking about in this. So again, thanks, and I think we're on this together. And I think the next is we're gonna watch this. It's like a 15-minute abridged version. If you ever want to see, there is the whole, I think it's almost half an hour. It is a documentary, was done for the first year, because before the pandemic, they used to sing in person at the schizophrenia conference. It's like, I think, the 40th year now, and it happens every year. With the pandemic, we made this documentary. It was all virtual, so it's a little selection of that documentary.
So we are going to show that. We are going to show that after we take some Q&A.
Okay.
Because in case people have been kind of sitting there wanting to ask questions. So let me throw it out to our assembled people. If anyone has a question for any of our panelists. Betty.
This question is for you,
Betty.
Eli. Sorry. Eli, we met on a trip to Israel with Rabbi Gibson many years ago. And I remember talking with you then about poetry. And as I see your wonderful photographs, I note that you have captions with each of them. Not all photographers do that. And when I saw that you had the captions, it struck me that you have found a way to combine your love of language with your love of photography. Can you speak a little bit about your decision to use captions in your photography and your process of creating them?
Yeah, sure. So in high school, I had a poetry teacher who drilled in us that it was, I don't know what the word would be, completely inappropriate maybe, to write a poem without a title. And in some ways, I think I adopted that into my photography practice. I also feel like it adds a layer of ease if someone wants to talk about a certain piece, rather than just saying, oh, that photo that, it had a tree on the right side and there was maybe a house on the left or something. I think it's a lot easier to have something to refer to. I will say, so I don't know if anyone noticed, all of the photos that I showed had 2-word captions. So I don't know where that came from, but I don't remember which year it was, but I had started an Instagram specifically for my photography. And within the first or second, I think it was the second post, the first post I introduced myself. Starting with the second post on there, I decided I was going to limit myself to 2-word captions, only 2 words. And that's also been kind of like a poetic exercise in a way, because there are a lot of times I have so much more that I want to say for each one. But in a sense, it's good because I want to try to let other people get from the photo what they will. I will say the process of captioning it can be very difficult and sometimes frustrating because I feel like I've used every 2-word combination that exists. So there are times where I have a photo that I want to post and I'm just thinking, what am I supposed to call it? So it takes a lot of creativity. There have been times where I've asked my niece, who is 6 years old, and I'll say, what are the first 2 words that come to your head when you see this? And I don't necessarily use those answers, but it's interesting to ask someone else, see what they get from it, and then go from there.
Very nice. Thank you, Eli. Any other questions?
Let me add a quick little phrase to what you just said, that, You know, I think it was Aldous Huxley who said, after silence, music is what most can express what we have, what we feel. And probably after silence and music, 2 words is what mostly can express what we feel.
I'd like to ask the woman who is the administrator at the ballet, did you say that you have sign language at the ballet?
So we have been asked for sign language interpretation before, and we have done it. I think I brought that up in one of those ways that kind of posed a challenge because a lot of our performances don't have spoken word as a part of them. Some dances do, and we have had those pieces, and we've worked with the choreographer either to have an ASL interpreter on the stage, or if it's a very scripted short bit of words, we would include that as part of the program. But yeah, we've had requests for ASL interpretation, and it's just kind of been working with an individual to figure out how we can do that in a way that makes sense. You know, if you're watching the Nutcracker, which is no words, when there's just a person standing on the side, it might get a little confusing for the audience in general. So we kind of figured out how to maybe put the audience member that requested it and the interpreter next to each other in the theater. Back during COVID on Zoom, we had an adaptive student that also requested an interpreter. So we kind of highlighted our teacher and the interpreter. And for that, we were like, the whole class just gets to watch both of them next to each other. And if you want to change your screen, you can change your screen at home, but like that's how we are going to set it up. So that's just kind of one of the things that we didn't necessarily think about at first. And then we had someone come to us and ask for it. And we're, you know, I think always kind of open to how does this work? How can it work? To make it work for audience members, also for us, also for the choreographer. You know, we're not always in charge of that part. We paid someone, brought someone in to do it. So kind of respecting their wishes with that too. So yeah, it's a balance, but I think we're definitely open to making things bigger and better.
Can I just follow up? Yeah. I'm just curious because I studied ballet and I know that ballet is based on pantomime. And also I was just wondering, like, you know, the opera, they have the translation. Could you maybe do the synopsis? Because, you know, for people that don't know the stories, if you do the synopsis maybe before each act.
Yeah, I think that's another great point. And I think we tried to, whenever we did have the interpreter, we would definitely brief them on the story. We usually will have a brief synopsis in the program, or if it's a more contemporary piece, maybe it's, we call them like notes from the choreographer just to give a little insight. Sometimes for those, choreographers want to say, it's up to interpretation, but we're like, can we give something for the audience to kind of hold on to in that way? We also do audio description. So, you know, you can get a headset from guest services, and we have an audio describer that will kind of describe what is being shown on the stage. It's great if you have low vision, blindness, or she kind of does give a great job of giving some insight into the pieces too. Yeah, so I think that's a great idea of just remembering to, you know, I feel like I have heard the story of the Nutcracker 1,000 times on end, but not everyone has heard it as many times as I have. So, you know, it's a great reminder, and even the lesser known ballets especially, to kind of help give some context. And then I think that makes what you see on stage even more meaningful.
Questions? Oh, a Zoom question.
Yeah, this is for Kara. One of the Zoom participants wants to know if you have a studio in your home or if it's outside of your home.
Oh, hi. I have a studio on my 3rd floor. So it's really hard to get those big canvases, those slanted ceilings. But yeah, it's on my 3rd floor. So I have 2 rooms that I use.
Great.
Yep.
Question.
Oh,
So,
Color choices and what's your favorite medium?
okay. How do I do my color choices and what is my favorite medium? Well, even though I'm visually impaired, I still make my color choices visually based on my memory of color, because I was fully sighted until I was 35 years old. And what I do, since I can't read the labels on my paints, I have Braille labels on some, and other ones when I'm lazy and I don't want to do the Braille labeling because it's a whole process. I just use tactile markers, rubber bands. I use that 3D glue stuff, so it's like creates a bump on my paints. And I have my favorite go-to colors, and I set them up strategically so I know where they are geographically on my table. So that's how I do the colors. And then I use markers on my canvas so I can figure out where on the canvas I want to place that color. I'll use string sometimes to block off areas of the canvas. My favorite medium, acrylic paint, for sure. Yep.
Sure. I mean, a lot of art is about seeing the world in a different way or helping people notice something different about the world in which we live. And, you know, we have the special privilege of having people with particular challenges see the world in different ways. And that affords new opportunities. But I wonder about what are the challenges in helping the broader audience looking at your various forms of art, and this is for anybody on the panel who wants to play. What are the challenges that are created in just trying to help people that don't have the same challenge you do to really understand the view of the world that you're trying to put before them?
Who's up for answering? Eli?
So this might be slightly different than what you're asking, but I think for me, one of the things that's been a big difference between how I practice my art and how the audience may see it is I've had to come to terms with the fact that there are A, a lot of opportunities that are not accessible for me, and B, the way that I'm able to make art and the frequency and when varies a lot. I get very overwhelmed by a lot of sensory stimuli, which is why I have noise canceling headphones that I wear all the time. And so that can make things very exhausting. So for me, it's sometimes I see other artists who are able to engage with their art a lot more. For me, it's about learning how to take a step back, and it's about learning that sometimes I need to rest. For my actual pieces, I think it's a hard, it's a juggling act to both accomplish what I want to do and to try to influence how the other person sees it. I think sometimes I fall into the trap of making art that I think other people will like, but there's also a lot of art that I make for myself. I have to know sometimes that might not go as well, or it might not, for example, if I'm posting it, it might not get as many likes, for instance, which is not an important metric, but I think that I just try to show, I think to a certain extent it's just kind of up to the other person if they're going to be willing to step into my shoes and willing to see the world from a different place.
Anyone else? Kara?
Sure. I was thinking of a couple different things. Number one, especially for the visual art world, and if you're an artist that has a vision problem, I mean, that presents challenges, obviously, because in the art world, your art is judged anonymously by a juror. You can't say, oh, by the way, I really can't see very well, so go easy on me. So, you really are judged as the same as anyone else. And to me, I like that because there is a time and a place where I can really educate, through my website. I always like to put articles and things about other visually impaired artists, or explain what my particular process is more fully so people can understand, because I like to communicate with my words, you know, and I like to tell people there's a lot of questions I get. So I'm happy to sit there and explain. But the other thing, which is what Eli was kind of saying, that's my son's name too, so I love your name, is allowing a piece of creation to stand on its own and bring to the world whatever it wants to. So I like art for art's sake. If something wants, like even a Duchamp, or like a urinal or whatever, it's art is truly in the eye of the beholder. And so I like that there's that kind of detachment from the artist, from their work once they're done with it. Even if you're just keeping it for yourself, it starts to have a life of its own. So I don't know, I may be going far off on a tangent now, but it brings up a lot of interesting questions, that topic.
I do have a question for Flavio. Tell us how you learned or decided that you could help people with schizophrenia by bringing music with them.
Interesting question. It happened a while ago. I have a friend, somebody who actually, I think now is living in Denmark or so, is a bass player, and he was connected to what exists and is really important in Boston and Vermont. It's an orchestra. The whole orchestra is with people that have mental health disabilities. It is called Me Too, of all names. And it precedes the Me Too movement, which is a problem because they already were using that Me Too. And then there's this world movement comes Me Too and says, me, I was there before. So, but if you are interested, just Google it. And they've been playing and they've been doing a lot. It's very successful. Originally, I wanted to do something like that. And I have a friend who is very high on Western Psychiatric Hospital and UPMC. And we had coffee, and I brought him the idea. And his name is Ken Nash. And he said, I know exactly the person I'm going to take you to, which is Dr. Chengapa, who is the head of the schizophrenia department. And we sat down, and he's very open to different things, not necessarily the medical, go get this drug and you're going to be fine. No, he's exactly the opposite. And say, let's try to do that. And called a few people and actually described the first time there was a meeting with people, and that's really how it started.
I love that. We can take about one more question. Anybody? No? So what we do have, and it does run about 12 or 13 minutes, is a video that shows Infinity performing. And Drew's going to start it. And if you have to leave, we understand. But if not, enjoy a little music for the end. And I want to thank our panelists. I hope that all of us today, and Anne, Anne's still on Zoom. We want to thank you, Anne, and hope you feel better. But we also, I hope today that everybody has realized that it's not about how your disability, how you are an artist, even with your disability. That these are people who are artists, period, and performers, period. And so we thank you very, very much. And the video is going to start.
I sing the body electric. I celebrate the yet to come.
I'm Ann Alter, and I'm a client of Western Psychiatric Institute and Clinic, and I'm very pleased to be part of this group. We are musicians who experience mental illness and we are creating music. We are moving beyond our diagnoses, and we are prospering.
How I came to be part of things was that Dr. Roy Chinkapa had asked different people if they were musically inclined, and I happen to be musically inclined, and I'm a peer specialist at Western Psychiatric Hospital. So, and that's my line of work, but I'm musically inclined, so I got involved. He asked me if I would come and sing, and if we would, and so we just got together and we started singing and playing guitars and basses and pianos, and before you know it, we banged out a song.
My name's David. I was diagnosed with schizophrenia quite a while ago in 1997. Music has been continuously part of my recovery. I was playing music when I developed schizophrenia. Always been part of my life since a young age.
Hi everyone, this is Barry Mills, and good to be a part of the Cosmic Messengers. That's the four of us. We are grateful to be able to play our music for you and let you know what we can do, even though such a mental health illness is also among us.
I love the people I work with. I love the exchange of leadership. I depend on them. It's such good training to learn to sing with other people, which is how most music is made. Everyone has a wonderful attitude.
Yes, I have a rhythm and blues band, but may come back to gospel music. I started out with gospel music, then went to rhythm and blues, but I think I'm coming back to gospel.
This clinical music project we're involved in here has been quite interesting, very educational to develop these songs with this small group of people, fellow musicians, fellow schizophrenics, and you know, we're a bunch of people with the same mental health diagnosis, so that gives us a common bond. We're facing some of the same challenges, so it's been very interesting to develop these songs together, and it's been quite a treat to work with a conductor like Flavia, who's a very great musician and who's been very patient with us as you've helped us through this process.
Thank you.
So we thank you for that.
I sing the body electric. I celebrate the yet to come. I toast to my own reunion
sing the body electric. I celebrate the me yet to come. I toast to my own reunion when I become one with the sun. And I'll look back on Venus, I'll look back on Mars, and I'll burn with the fire of 10 million stars. And in time, we will all be stars. We are the emperors now, and we are the czars. And in time, we will all be stars. Stars. Stars.
So I had to derail my dreams of performance for so many years because of my illness. And Flavio has helped to give me back what I had thought I had lost. He's had infinite patience with us. He always believes in that we can do the best that we can. And we're so privileged to be able to work with him. But music, when I'm singing, when I'm listening to music, I am more than my diagnosis. I am a musician. I am experiencing something profound and beautiful.
In college, I sort of lost touch with reality down at Virginia Tech. And music played a big part in that. I was playing lots of music, lots of guitar, keyboard, drums. I had musical partners, friends I was playing with. I was hearing music that wasn't real. That was pretty interesting.
Did you ever emulate that music? Did you ever play and, kind of imitate the music you were listening?
Yeah, I tried to.
Huh.
It was I've heard some quite interesting music in my hallucinations. I have heard some hallucinated music in my recovery, which has been quite interesting. It's been like Mahler kind of classical music. Wow. I've heard some stuff like that. It's been quite amazing stuff I've heard.
It was surprising at first, but I knew it was achievable. I knew I could, learn it, and once I learned it, I knew I could play it. Yes.
Right. How does it feel to be the creator of a brand new piece?
Feels great. Feels terrific. I'm very thankful. Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of neat to have my own lyrics form the basis for a song that gets produced and played and shared with the world. That's pretty special. It's a good feeling. Yeah, I certainly didn't know that the poem would turn into a song in the world when I wrote the poem.
I have to say, I have participated in numerous musical productions and talent shows, and I sang backup for a nightclub band when I was 16 years old, many, many years ago. And this is the first time I've ever participated in a musical session where we practiced and we put together a song from scratch, from start to finish. I've never done anything like that before, where I've been part of actually creating a music piece, and it was very interesting to be part of that.
It was wonderful. It was a beautiful song. David Baird wrote the lyrics and Flavia wrote the music, and an incredible sense of specialness to be creating a song that had not been prepared before.
I'm just very happy that all you people are interested in schizophrenia and the treatment of schizophrenia. Conferences like this are wonderful opportunities for people to get together.
Recovery tool, I use it myself. It helps keep me grounded and keep me balanced, so that I have a sense of balance and moderation in what I'm doing.
But music, when I'm singing, when I'm listening to music, I am more than my diagnosis. I am a musician. I am experiencing something profound and beautiful.
Yes, for the Cosmic Messengers, the new pieces for the Cosmic Messengers. Looking for, yes, we're still looking for it. Yes, I
I would like to thank Brotherhood and Watts for their continuing support of Jewish Disability Awareness and Inclusion Month. Every year they put on a Brotherhood brunch with something around inclusion as a topic, and we greatly appreciate that continuing support of this important part of Temple Sinai's mission. JDAIM does not end tonight or today. Well, inclusion at Temple Sinai goes every minute of every day of every year, but our special programming does not end yet. I invite you to join us next weekend for Shabbat. Friday night will be our annual inclusion service put together by Sam Scobell. The readings are wonderful. It's going to be a really lovely service with lots of participation from congregants. And then on Saturday evening, starting at 7, we are doing an amazing program called the JDAIM Dance Party. Sam's students from Cynthia's School of Dance will be performing, and those of you who had the pleasure of seeing them a couple of years ago, they are amazing. And then Sam will be receiving the Shore Whitehill Award for her efforts in inclusion, which we're very, very excited about. Sam less so, but the rest of us are very excited. And then Dancing Wheels, a professional dance troupe of wheelchair users, will be performing up here on the stage, and that's going to be just amazing. And we will end the evening. Matt Mahan will be our DJ, and everybody who hasn't gotten a chance to dance will just get a chance to move in any way that they want. And so it will be a dance party from start to finish, and we encourage you to come at 7 o'clock next Saturday. For that, it's a $10 suggested donation, but if you don't have $10, you can come anyway. It should be a lovely, lovely, fun event, and all of us want to be celebrating Sam. Sam's parents will be here, and we will be having lots of fun embarrassing her as I am right now. How am I doing? Yeah, good, good. I'd like to also thank all of our panelists and Anne for joining us today, especially the artists. I have learned so much of the world of seeing art through Kara and Eli's eyes. Eli sees things that the rest of us walk right past, and then he captures it and makes it so easy to access. Thank you all for giving your time and sharing with us today. Thank you, Lynn, for being a moderator and for taking the time to really learn appropriate language. Language is always changing, and it is hard to always keep on top of it, and I appreciate everything that Watts and Brotherhood did to ensure appropriate language for today. So everyone, have a great rest of the afternoon. I don't know if the people upstairs are still writing letters, but if you have a chance to run up and write a letter about gun violence, that would be appreciated as well. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.